most welcome. And I've been specializing in energy therapies for cancer since about 2009. And before then, since about 1980, I've been a registered dietitian, nutritionist, an herbalist, an acupuncturist. I was senior faculty at the 𝗥𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃 Institute of Integrative Medicine. And it just seems to be my dharma to work with cancer and energy medicine. I've been playing with the Bengston Method specifically since 2009, and before then I was in the wings just watching him do his research. My husband and he were work buddies. All the amazing mouse research that has to do with complete cancer remissions in otherwise incurable mice. And part of my biography is I did 4 years of graduate school in neurophysiology, and I didn't get my PhD, but I did learn how to think like a researcher. And I have applied that objectivity to the subjectivity of distance healing and energy work. And I think it's served me well. This group was, I originally started this group as a forum to answer questions about my book, There Is Another Way, Energy Medicine for Pets with Cancer. It's available on Amazon. And I wrote that book as a primer for pet parents as well as people. People just have another layer of a complexity that we go to in this group. So get the book and review it on Amazon. That will be a nice. It's practically free on Amazon, so that'll be a nice thank you. Little exchange of energy. All right, so anybody is welcome here with any kind of ailment, but it is called the Spirit Gate Cancer Support Facebook group. So I'm going to talk about cancer. And so most of us are here because of cancer. Either we have cancer ourselves, which we all have a little bit of, but we're suffering in some way. We care about, some of you are here just because you like to hear you just like to see my thinking, but or it inspires you. But most of us are here because we either have cancer or we care about somebody or some animal with cancer. And I'd like you to remember when you first got the diagnosis. I know I've had 2 cancer scares in my life. It turns out they weren't cancer, but I got scared. So I've been through that with numerous patients who, get on the phone with me with their complimentary Get Acquainted call, freaking out that they have cancer. And, it's hard. And even if there's an up and down progression to any sort of chronic condition, which is what I think of cancer as is a chronic illness, not necessarily just a boom, you're dead kind of thing. It's rarely that. But if you can just remember, that time when your brilliant plans, maybe your 5-year plans, your 10-year plans, maybe your 40-year plans, where just suddenly the rug was pulled out from under them and it didn't make any sense to make those plans because of your cancer diagnosis. And you went through this big upheaval, and I would say that diagnosis of cancer is almost as traumatic as any trauma that led up to the diagnosis that might have caused the illness or even after. So I'd like us just to honor the fact that a lot of us here have had at least that trauma, and we're in good company. Like, other people know what it's like to face that diagnosis. So then eventually you hunkered down and you decided on a plan. Some of us decided to do, just find a really great oncologist and do what they said. Some of us are here because we didn't like what the oncologist said. It didn't make any sense to us. They didn't really offer us anything. Or now they aren't offering us anything. And, you sort of hunker down and you do the program. You do your nutrition. You do your whatever therapies, whatever strategy you have. And you get skillful at it. You're really good at doing it. And then almost, I would say almost all the time. It's rarely that cancer just gets, you find the right thing and then it gets better, 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 gone. Even when you find the right thing, there's ups and downs. And eventually, it's often that we get bad news. Doesn't mean that it's a death sentence necessarily, but we get the news that the cancer has progressed in spite of us skillfully following the plan that made the most sense to us or our doctors. And there's this feeling that your efforts have been in vain, and there's a real sense of cruel powerlessness and crushing almost of hope. And that's a trauma. And today I want to honor that if you've been through that kind of trauma, and maybe you're on the other side of that, but the echoes of that trauma are still around. And I'm one who heals those traumas, but your life experiences don't go away. It's your attitudes to them that transform. And so what I'm going to do today is something a little different, where we're going to actually work with that trauma and hopefully try to release our attachment to its cruelty. All right? So that it doesn't, so that we can learn from it, so that we can be guided by it, so that we can be serious. We don't have to run from it. We don't have to blindly do stuff because we're too scared to just be with it. I'm going to try to do that with this. I do this a lot with my private clients. Never really tried to do it in a group before. So I appreciate your feedback as to whether it's helpful or not. All right. Let's see. And I would suggest that energy healing is really good.
I'm serious.
Sorry, Siri. I should have turned off Siri. Sorry about that. Anyway, usually Siri doesn't help us. Okay. Anyway, here we go. So today we're going to meet and greet our demons. All right. And we're going to do it while we're cycling, while we're spinning. And if you're new, what we do is we do a spinning meditation where you just imagine a ball of light spinning behind you, above you, doesn't really matter where. If you're familiar with the Bengston Method, yes, you can do it as a rep. You can put your images in and do all that business. But I wanted this group to be beginner friendly. So if you're beginner friendly, you might already be like, what's going on here? Just listen, okay? Don't worry about following every little thing. We do have a little format that we follow every time, but every time it's different. So, yeah. All right, so let me see what else I wrote. Okay, so even if we only breathe... Okay, so we're going to claim our freedom. We're going to meet and greet or behold the illness until it doesn't matter and we are free of its captivity. Because that trauma haunts us. I mean, we have good days and bad days, but it's always there. Like, is the cancer going to come back? Or, it's haunting. And our attitude towards our ghosts, we do have freedom over. We don't really... The haunting doesn't really go away. It just becomes less important. And so that's the healing that I'm going to try to do today. And paradoxically, when we are less attached to our hauntings of our traumas, the more free we are, not only spiritually and psychologically, but physically, for our natural healing forces to free us of disease and dysfunction. So there we go. All right, welcome everybody who's joining us. So, even if we only briefly touch on that freedom where the ghost of cancer doesn't really matter, it's therapeutic, even if you can't pull it off living there all the time. Really, just touching it periodically is very helpful. And I think it's, there's some people say you have to live in the space of not having traumatic ghosts around, which I think is impossible. I think they bubble up and then you clean them out again. It's sort of like if you clean yourself, you know, it's like hygiene. It's mental hygiene. You're going to remember that you have cancer periodically, and it's not going to be a great feeling necessarily, but you can have it be, you can not be pummeled by it constantly. All right. So first, some foundational images. In my octave resonance healing system, I work spiritually, I work psychologically or with images and emotions, I work etherically or with your life force, and then hopefully we get a physical result that something in the sense perceptible world can measure, like the tumor goes away, or it gets softer and doesn't hurt so much, and then it goes away. So first I'd like you to think of the metaphor that health is beautiful and harmonious. All right? And illness is a chaotic mess. And when you think of beauty and harmony, when you think of something beautiful, and you listen for the harmony and the coherence of it, it actually makes you feel a certain nice feeling inside. And when you think of illness, there's a certain, with me, it's a little tightening, and you can almost sense the chaoticness of it. And if you were to see an image of it, it wouldn't be beautiful. It might be like a shadow, it might be some distortion. And I'm not saying that distortion is always unbeautiful, but you know what I mean? There's something off about it. It's not harmonious. Thinking of Pablo Picasso, you know, his images weren't harmonious, and yet there was something in there that was amazing. All right. So now I'd like to invite you to start a spinning meditation. And we haven't started the formal guided visualization yet, but just imagine that you have a spinning disc or spinning ball of light somewhere in your, around you, or in you or close to you. And now while you're thinking of that spinning ball or disc, remember a beautiful sunrise or a beautiful sunset, those beautiful oranges and blues and yellows and the clouds and mountains and whatever. We have beautiful sunsets out here in Arizona. It's just, it's beautiful. And spin, and notice what your spinning's like when you think of these beautiful, that beautiful scene. Okay, good. And now think of your illness or your loved one's illness, and keep spinning. And notice if your spinning changes. And type in to the chat if you feel like thinking of a beautiful sunset was different with your spinning than thinking about your the illness that kind of brought you here. Okay. And now I want you to spin anyway. Like often when you're face to face with actually the portal and the doorway through to your freedom, it doesn't feel good. There's pain. There's like dysfunction. And I'd like you to stay focused on your illness and insist on your spinning disc of light to be spinning just as fast as it was when the beautiful sunset was there. And see if anybody can do that, okay? So you're feeling the disharmony, and you're cycling fast anyway. I have to sort of crack open parts of myself to do this. I have to open to the place where I can be present with the illness and still just spinning as quickly as if I wasn't there. And I'm simultaneously attached to the illness because I'm thinking about it, and detached because I'm spinning anyway. I'm free of it, and yet I'm there. It's a powerful, powerful, powerful tool. Okay. Is it? All right, good. And is anybody able to do that? If you're not able to comment on this, then I'm not going to do this next time because it might be too advanced for a group, but thanks for playing with me. All right, good. Now that's that. There, now we don't have to go to the pond. You've been healed, all right? However, we are going to go to the pond. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching a recording after the event. The live event's going to happen in a moment or two. Spencer says yes, good. Melinda says you can do this, good, good. All right. Now, we're going to, okay, sorry, lost my train of thought. So excited that Melinda and Spencer can do it. All right, good. We're going to go into we're going to do our little weekly ritual. And if you're new, let me just go through the paces with you so that you're not surprised. We're going to go into a forest. We're going to meet a gatekeeper who's going to guide us into an inner healing sanctuary. We're going to, where we will meet the others. We're going to meet down at a pond. I'm going to place the names for healing on the pond, which is going to be, they're going to be supported by boats or lily pads or whatever is supportive on the water. We're going to spin. We're going to have a moment of silence, and then we're going to leave. But while we're standing in that circle, I'm going to be doing some more coaching about how to be in these, be present with the healing and present with the illness at the same time. That seems to create a paradox in the matrix that holds our illness in place and allows source to pour through, and great things happen. And great things are happening. People private message me and say, oh, thank you, you know, these wonderful things happened, you know, my pain went away, my tumor softened, blah, blah, blah. But if you can, if you're not too shy, just say that in the Facebook group. It's really, really helpful for the group resonance. And that's why we're doing this. Okay, great. All right. Anna says the ball was dark green and spinning wobbly, but going strong. And Anna, I would encourage you to ask if that dark green is the color of healing. And if it's not, to ask for the color to shift to a healing color. And if the wobbly spinning is, find a place, go way faster and find a place where the wobbling just doesn't have a chance. It's kind of like if you're really close to a vibration of illness, there's going to be turbulence, but if you're 30,000 feet up, you're going to be fine. So just go 30,000 feet up metaphorically in your cycling. There you go. Good. All right, good. And sorry, I couldn't see the other one. All right, so now, yeah, so if you're watching this later on YouTube, you're welcome to join us over at the Spirit Gate Cancer Support Facebook group and put in your name for healing and do the deeper healing. Okay, good. All right, welcome, welcome.